The topic of this video is on my emotions postpartum. And first off, I wanted to say I do know that postpartum depression is a real thing, and I know people who have suffered from that, and so I am sorry if that's what you're going through, and this video is not meant for that. I did not suffer with postpartum depression, but obviously after you give birth, there's a lot of emotions and hormonal changes and stuff, and I wanted to go over how I use that. Oh boy. Pick up your apples. I wanted to go over how I use that as a crutch for a year. So first off, a little back story. Obviously, when he was born, I had a lot of excess hormones to the point that I was sweating them out at night. So I would lay a towel down on the bed at night, and I would wake up through the night and it would be drenched completely through with my sweat, and I would take the towel off our bed and throw it in the dirty clothes, and I would lay another towel down, and by the time I woke up in the morning, that one would also be soaked through. It would soak through our sheets. Isaac, no. Hey. It would soak through our sheets and onto our bed, and then sometimes it would leak over onto my husband's top of the bed. You're obviously tired, and when you get tired, you obviously get a little cranky, and there are seasons in your life that are exhausting and emotionally draining, and obviously you're going to be, you know, a little bit more touchy. He was playing in the sink. So, where my emotions started is I was definitely more short-tempered. I was easily agitated. Obviously, I was tired. You know, and it's to be expected that you're a little out of sorts. Our entire family dynamic had changed. We weren't on a schedule because we were taking a break from school for, you know, because I homeschool, and, you know, we just had Isaac, and there were a lot of changes physically and just in general in our house. So, that being said, I was very short-tempered. Things that your kids do that, like, annoyed you were suddenly huge deals to me. Like, I just found it so annoying. You're gonna go find a toy? Okay. Sorry. So I was very short-tempered, very easily annoyed. I would correct the children. You know, obviously, like, when they're naughty, you correct them. But I definitely wasn't doing it as nicely. I definitely was not as patient. Instead of, you know, being like, hey, don't do that, and then getting angry later on after they continued to do it 4 or 5 times, it was just instantly yelling at them. Or that is something that I'm not proud of and I'm very ashamed of. Sorry, that was kind of blabbering, but I'm trying to explain all the things I was doing. That was not very nice. And, you know, maybe that's true. Maybe some of those things were stemmed from my hormones. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously there were a lot of hormones, as I stated before. However, 1 month rolled by and I was that way. 2 months rolled by and I was still that way. 3 months rolled by, still that way. Still short-tempered, still things. And obviously, you know, it wasn't every single day. It was not a nightmare. And then a year rolled around and I was not liking who I was. I was like, you know, I was still shorter tempered with the kids. You know, I was still easily upset, still easily angered. And then I realized I had practiced being angry. Hi. You coming in hot? Yeah? Were you coming in hot? You're crazy. And a year had rolled around and I realized that I was still that way. And it was not being postpartum. I was a year after giving birth. You know, I did not have postpartum depression. I didn't have any of the other things other than being easily agitated and easily angered and annoyed and being an unpleasant person. And I realized, again, very ashamed of this, that I had practiced that behavior. Those first few months when it may have actually been true, when it was exhausting, when it was tiring, when it was frustrating, I practiced that and I used that as my excuse instead of realizing that even before I had Isaac, there were days when I was a cranky mess. There were days when I was not pleasant or short-tempered or would be easily annoyed, because everyone has those days. But I just used every single one of my annoyances and days as an excuse towards my kids, towards my husband, towards everyone. And I practiced that for months. And after the first few weeks, after the first month, after the second month, after the third month, I never gave up that excuse. I never gave up to that. And then as time passed and I no longer use that excuse, I didn't work on being better. I didn't work on changing my attitude and embracing motherhood and all of the exhaustion and all of the things that come along with it. I didn't embrace it fully as I should have. And I used it as my crutch to get away with things. What are you doing? And a year had rolled around and I had practiced. I'm going to see if I can find it. There was a quote the other day. It's like, you are what you practice, or you become what you practice. So if you practice patience and love and all of those things, you will become better at those things. You will show those things forth. Are you doing up there? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Just all of those things. And instead of practicing what I should have, instead of being like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm in a really bad mood today and I need to work out my attitude, just like I tell my kids they need to work out their attitude when they're being bad, I used postpartum. I used hormones as a crutch. And I just wanted to share that with you guys in case you went through those same things and you think that you're alone, or whether you are going through those things and you haven't looked yourself in the mirror and been like, yeah, it's not a postpartum thing, it's a me thing, it's a heart thing, it's an attitude thing. Because like I said, it took me a year and it was not an easy thing to admit to yourself or admit to others or take responsibility for. And as I teach my kids, like, you have to take responsibility for what you do wrong, I need to take responsibility for what I do wrong and my attitude and my actions, just as I expect my children to. I'm sorry if that's distracting, because it is for me. But I want to own up to those things so I can show my kids to own up to their shortcomings, their struggles, their emotions, their behavior. And so I have to stand up for my own. And so if you're out there and you're going through the same thing, maybe stop and look and be like, is this hormones? Or would I be having this bad day even if I hadn't just given birth? Is it my attitude from before and my ungodliness? Or is it, hi, are you coming down? Or is it actual postpartum hormones? And I just would suggest that you take a look at that, because I wish I would have noticed, admitted it a lot earlier than I did. And I've spent the last 6 months trying to get a grip on it and trying to be more patient, trying to bite my tongue. But do you know how hard it is to break habits that you have infiltrated in your life? How to break habits that you have practiced for a year and brought into your life? I mean, it's just like if you get in the practice of brushing your teeth every day. You do it every single day. I mean, without thinking, it's bedtime, you brush your teeth. You woke up, you brush your teeth. It's a habit. And you want your diaper changed? And in those same things, your attitude's the same way. If you practice being impatient, which is what I did, if you practice being annoyed, again, which is what I did, then that's what you are. And that's habits are hard to break. Again, this is not something I am in any way proud of. It is something that I'm very ashamed of, and I almost didn't make this video. But then I was like, you know what? I wish I'd have realized this stuff sooner. I wish I'd have worked on this sooner, because I'm still working on it. I'm still failing at it, but things have gotten a lot better for my kids had I been more patient and learned those things. And I apologize to them all the time for my attitude, or if I snap at them, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. What I told you is true. You can't be doing that, but I could have asked nicer before I snapped, just like I expect you to ask your sibling nicely to stop. I need to practice that also with you by asking you, my kids, to do things or to stop doing things nicely. It's something they needed to be corrected on. That I'm sorry that I'm not sorry that I told you that. because you needed to hear that or you needed to be told that, but I am sorry for how I told you that. So again, I've spent the last 6 months just working really hard on trying to be better, and not snap, be more patient and be more gentle, be how I was before I had Isaac, not because Isaac's birth changed me that much, but because I practiced terrible habits, terrible emotional habits, terrible spiritual habits after he was born, and I need to get over that, and I need to work through those and become the gentle, slightly calmer person I was before. Obviously, I've always been a little bit high strung. Not gonna say I was perfect before, definitely wasn't, but it's definitely gotten worse, and it is slowly but surely getting better.